Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and beautiful people across the whole world, we are actually going to play Path of Exile. Today, we are in the countdown. You can see there, for 4 minutes and 40 seconds, we are in the countdown to the Lake of Kalandra reveal that is happening, at 1 p.m. on Thursday, if you're watching this in the future. Over here watching live, it's in 4 minutes and 26 seconds. And on August 19th, Lake of Kalandra drops, and Grinding Gear Games kindly reached out and asked to sponsor me to do this co-stream and to do the playing next Friday. But, however, it should be noted that we've been talking about playing Path of Exile for years now, and there's been this huge issue where, because I'm a Magic the Gathering player, most of the time, the League would intersect with the new patch drop, or the new content drop for Magic the Gathering. See, I'm trying to use Path of Exile lingo. And so, I just never had a good opportunity to play it. But now, that Magic is releasing in like 4 weeks or something like that from today, what I get to do is I'm going to watch this today, and then I'm going to be playing on Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday next week, trying to learn the gist and the ropes enough to have any context for builds and strategies and plans and stuff like that. Then the new league's going to drop on the 19th. Boom! And then we're going to play some more. And so what we're going to be asking for is a little bit of backseating in a moment, but not now. Not now. Because I'm going to turn up the volume.
Not turning my auras on. I'm going to do it in the combat here. Oh, well, yep, no, this is fine. This is fine.
And I don't know what I'm supposed to be excited about as a Path of Exile player, because I'm not a Path of Exile player.
I mean, we're, like, it's mobile.
And so I'm curious what your predictions slash expectations slash concerns have been, will be, etc. Sophie Cat Girl says, did not expect Day 9 to stream Path of Exile. We've been talking about streaming it for years. It's actually maybe the most,
Trust me, it's there.
no, it's certainly one of the top 3 most requested games that I've gotten over time. Certainly one of the top most requested.
Get out of here.
I remember the first time that we got a skeleton on screen where you walked over and clicked on him and you hit him and he fell over. It was like, oh, okay, this is going to be something.
Those are the original devs on Diablo 1, I believe.
Final.
Left one, so I have no concerns, just excited to see you play Path of Exile. Yeah, Path of Exile is like this game. Turn it up a bit more. Nah, I'm going to keep talking over everything's anxious. When this thing gets down, then I'm going to turn it up. I'm going to turn it up. But really, this is the me show at this point in time.
Would you please take your seats at the pods?
What was I talking about? I was talking about something! Oh no! Oh yeah, left went. Yeah, I kind of have the sense that Path of Exile is this game that for some reason sits at the intersection of all the games that I play. I play a lot of Dota. Almost all the Dota streamers that I follow also play Path of Exile whenever the stream drops. Not the stream drops, excuse me, whenever the new set drops. Play a lot of Magic. A lot of Magic players that grind the hell out of Path of Exile when it comes out. Gohan says, is this our first watch-along on this channel? Oh, that can't possibly be the case. Can't possibly be. Is that true? No, but we've tuned into some garbage. No, we did it with TI. We did it with TI. We were watching a bunch. Uh-oh, 60 seconds. 60 seconds. Aw.
Congratulations to Tie 23 for a just monstrous display.
Dude, also, I'm not gonna lie. It really feels like Grinding Gear is one of the few companies that just thinks, how do we make more content? And constantly ask themselves about how to make more content. Versus, I don't know, other devs that are just like, how do we make more microtransaction battle passes? I'm not necessarily against, microtransactions and battle passes, but as a person that likes to play content, I like when the devs are also interested in making content.
Thanks. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Alright, cranking it up. Alright. Oh, Starts in 1 second.
Hi, I'm Chris Wilson from Grinding Gear Games.
Hi, Chris.
Thanks for joining us today as we reveal Path of Exile's next expansion, Lake of Kalandra, which launches on PC and Mac on August 19th, and on Xbox and PlayStation on August 24th. Twitch drops are enabled for today's livestream, so make sure you follow the instructions below to link your account and earn your Wrangler wings.
Some grinding gears right there.
Here's what you can expect from today's livestream. First, we'll debut the trailer for the Lake of Kalandra expansion, and then dive into its Challenge League. We'll discuss the further improvements we're making to Path of Exile's endgame in this release. There's a slew of new unique items for us to cover, and also a broad power boost to many different uniques. We've got a selection of new skill and support gems to reveal, and are excited to unveil our plans for revamping 3 past leagues. Then we'll cover more details about game balance before revealing this league's new supporter packs and what's going to happen in the lead up to launch next week. Our livestream ends with a Q&A session hosted by Ziggy D, where you can ask me your questions in Twitch chat. Then we'll post the full patch notes for you to check out. But before we show you the trailer for Lake of Kalandra, I wanted to talk to you about Exilecon. Back in 2019, we were ready to announce Path of Exile 2 and Path of Exile Mobile, and we wanted to do it with a bang.
Remember
we
conventions?
filled a venue with thousands of Path of Exile fans from around the world and ran our first Exilecon convention. It was an amazing experience, full of fans interacting with developers, and everyone who attended can vouch for the amazing energy at the event. Announcing Path of Exile 2 on that stage was one of the highlights of my life.
I love that. One of the highlights of his life. Hell yeah.
Exile 2. Now that we are getting close to release, we will finally be ready to announce the date that the closed beta starts at Exilecon 2023. We're holding Exilecon 2023 in Auckland, New Zealand, on the weekend of the 29th and 30th of July 2023. In addition to the beta start date, we'll also be announcing everything there is to know about new game systems, character classes, items, and so on. Attendees will be able to play Path of Exile 2 and Path of Exile Mobile, see all the presentations live, meet our development team, hang out with their favorite streamers, and much more. The first wave of tickets will go on sale in 2 weeks. We'll make a news post tomorrow with more information so that you have time to determine if you're able to attend before the tickets go on sale. We are so excited to finally talk about what we've been working on, and to let some of you experience the next generation of action RPGs. In the meantime, we have a strong lineup of Path of Exile 1 expansions underway, and today we're proud to unveil Path of Exile Lake of Kalandra, which launches next week.
Dude. Hey, I gotta be honest. I always get nostalgic. Oh, excuse me. I always get nostalgic when I see.
Exile.
All right, I'm gonna shut up for a second.
To arrive at the shores of my lake. A hidden realm I have overseen for longer than time itself.
Oh yeah, some Bastion vibes. Yes, excellent.
These waters harbor deadly secrets.
Yeah, I think in my first build, I'm real interested in frost/freezing style magic. Obviously, I think many of you know I love summons.
Raycast is reflected here. Reassemble it as you see fit. But the mirror distorts reality. Beware the image that strikes back.
Kalandra Challenge League. I don't know if I'm going to be powerful enough. Yeah, now when it comes to a lot of the endgame stuff, I know nothing. I almost certainly won't get there in 3 days. But, alright, unique items. Fine. Oh, Arch Nemesis rework?
Exile.
I saw some of you spam about that earlier.
Or will you drown?
Oh, that's so funny, man. Everyone typing in all caps, Harvest rework, Arch Nemesis rework. This is great because, again, I am dipping in for the first time Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
In the Kalandra Challenge League, you will travel to the mirrored lake that granted Kalandra her powers of reflection.
Oh, yeah.
We want you to experience the story for yourself, so I'll avoid spoiling the details here.
Very well.
When you get to explore the league next week, you'll find out more about Kalandra and her motivations.
Hype, but hiding information.
Your
Always a fan.
experience with Kalandra so far is probably of her coveted mirror, which duplicates items by reflecting them. The lake itself has the power to reflect entire encounters from elsewhere in Rayclust. As you explore the lake,
see
these
what you
reflections
mean.
emerge from its mirrored surface.
I mean, that's pretty sick.
Sometimes these reflections are encounters with hordes of monsters. And sometimes you'll encounter extremely powerful foes, reflected from elsewhere in Rayclust. Often, reflections involve League content, such as this encounter with a Harbinger boss. As you play through the League, you'll occasionally encounter a set of columns protruding from the ground, with a mirrored tablet on top. This tablet invites you to construct a custom set of encounters at the Lake of Kalandra, offering a series of different reflections to place in whatever layout you wish.
Touch this to get access to a dev
Each
tool.
of these reflections represents an encounter that you must defeat when you next travel to the lake.
Alright.
Once you have assigned a reflection to every location on your mirror tablet, which will take a few areas, you can open a portal to the Lake of Kalandra itself.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
There you will get to experience these reflections of Rayclust as Kalandra manifests each encounter you have chosen.
And if you lose, it's your fault. You put this on yourself.
But as you push farther out onto the lake-shrouded waters, you will find each encounter to be more difficult, but more rewarding. This difficulty value counts up by 1 for each location away from the entrance the encounter is.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Players
7.
wanting the best rewards will try to engineer tablets that have long, windy strings of encounters, reaching very high difficulty values by the end. To do this, there are occasional options that can be chosen which allow you to move and swap the entrance, reflections, and water tiles on the tablet.
Dev tools with additional steps. Love it.
Additionally, as you progress through the league, you'll be able to unlock special abilities that let you manipulate the options you have available on each tablet. If you don't like any of the choices available to you, you can earn the ability to skip picking one entirely.
The mulligan.
The next ability is even stronger. It lets you re-roll the list of options so that you can immediately pick another one. Finally, you can earn the ability to exile a choice entirely. For the rest of this tablet, that choice will no longer appear.
Yes. Oh yeah. As a roguelike fan, that's the most
Once you reach
powerful
max,
button.
you'll be able to itemize your mirrored tablets so that they don't have to be played immediately. They can be stored for later or traded with other players. As you visit the Lake of Kalandra to attempt your mirrored tablets, there are many types of rewards you can find. An encounter that is based on a past league implicitly grants the rewards from that league, but with extra juice so that you're not missing out on bonuses you'd have obtained if your Atlas tree applied to the lake. Other encounters that aren't based on past leagues generally yield a reward chest that rises out of the lake when you complete the encounter.
It doesn't need to rise out of the lake, but we did that because we knew that was important
grant
to
you
you.
access to a new variation on rare items, exclusive to the Kalandra Challenge League. When you complete the encounter, you'll get access to some reflecting mist, which presents you with a difficult choice. It generates a rare ring or amulet with an unusual set of mods. Some are very high, and some are very negative, which hurt your character. The item is then duplicated, with a reflected copy having inverse mods. Negative ones are now positive and vice versa.
Oh yeah. Oh my
The
god,
amount that all of these
yes.
mods are scaled up by is based on the difficulty of the encounter you just completed.
Oh
You may
yeah.
only pick one of these items to keep.
Yeah, what do I want to be awful
It'll
at?
often be a tough choice, with each item having its own strong pros and cons.
Not gonna
But
be a tough
sometimes
choice.
You'll be offered an item where the negative mods aren't downsides for your build, and the juiced up positive mods are very attractive.
Yeah.
There are
that's
also
right.
some special new jewelry base types that you can rarely receive from this process.
Dude, let me tell you something. Like, I'm always
One
going to
rare
run
and
away
difficult
from
encounter
everything.
rewards you with an advanced version of this crafting process.
Drop my
It allows
decks.
you to bring your own ring or amulet, distorting and reflecting it with the same process described before. The mods are scaled up in value and some are randomly negated. The reflected copy has the inverse set of negations. It will
Minus
certainly
14
be
to all
tempting to
attributes.
gamble with some of your best jewelry to try to double the values that really matter for your build and negate the ones you don't care about.
Dude, no, this is mwah,
If you're very
min-maxing.
lucky, you
Mwah.
may find a special League-exclusive unique ring at the lake. Kalandra's touch mirrors the effect of your other ring. The Kalandra Challenge League has something for everyone.
You can equip
It's an
both to
out-of-area
have
combat
nothing
league where
happen.
You build your own sequences of encounters. It lets you fully dictate your desired level of risk and reward and fully customize what content you play. It features a powerful crafting system, valuable rewards, and offers a glimpse into the lore of one of Path of Exile's most iconic characters. We can't wait to play it with you next week.
Alright, now I see why y'all play for 6,000 hours.
In every expansion
we're on
leading
point
up to Path
3?
of Exile 2's release, we'll be improving Path of Exile's endgame with new content
Every
to
other dev
explore
would
and
say,
new ways to
and the
customize your
presentation
endgame
is done.
experience. In the Lake of Kalandra expansion, we're introducing Atlas Memories. They aren't a League feature, they're part of the core game, affecting standard and persisting once the Kalandra League has ended.
Alright.
In maps, you'll very rarely find a memory item, which represents a set of memories that an NPC has about their past. Something special happened to them while exploring maps, and you're able to experience those events for yourself. Let's have a look at a couple of examples. In this Atlas memory, Kirik tells you about the time that he stumbled across a staging ground for a Harbinger invasion of Rayclust. Each successive map you play in the sequence has more and more Harbinger portals and invaders that you must deal with. This is a memory of Nico's, where he entered a sequence of maps that were entirely consumed by permanent breaches, like a Breachlord's domain. He survived to talk about it, but will you? Right-click a memory
Will
and apply
you?
it to a completed map on your Atlas.
Says it so
It'll
calmly.
mark out a series of adjacent maps that the Atlas memory will span. When you next talk to the relevant NPC in your hideout, they'll tell you about their recollections and will allow you to start exploring the memory.
I mean,
Each map
story,
in the
we're not going to
sequence
read
is
any of
provided
that.
for free by the NPC, and you'll be able to roll it like usual before running it. Because these maps are memories of the NPC, they are not affected by your Atlas tree. However, the content is generally as difficult and rewarding as a fully specialized Atlas tree would cause it to be.
Okay.
Each successive map in the sequence
Okay.
gets harder and more rewarding as the memories intensify. While memories are tradable, they're also very rare and valuable, so you'll probably want to complete them yourself if you can.
Alright.
For players who love lore,
Which makes
Atlas
sense.
memories help expand on the backstory of
Alright,
key
good.
NPCs. For players wanting to try out different League mechanics at quite high levels of juice that they haven't specialized their Atlas for, memories let them do this without a bunch of respecking.
I have some
And for everyone
comments
else,
when there's
Atlas
a moment.
memories are a great way to earn some valuable items,
I have some
if you're strong
comments.
enough to complete them. The Lake of Kalandra expansion also contains a new unique map that I'm quite excited about. The Trial Master is back. This boss from Ultimatum, and more importantly the unique items he drops, have been sorely missed and will be making a return as the Tower of Ordeal's unique map in Lake of Kalandra. This map can be created by completing difficult endgame Val content. We have not forgotten about the rest of Ultimatum and have a specific plan for how it will return in the future.
Alright, Ghosty, we're going to take some notes. Ghosty, note 1.
Whenever we're improving Path of Exile's endgame, we take every opportunity we can to add new variations of rewards that you can find.
Ghosty.
We
note
don't want
1.
to say too much about how these are acquired, but in this
3
expansion, it's
classes are
possible
boring.
to very rarely find
That's
special
note 1.
foil versions of any pinnacle boss unique item. These have the same stats as regular ones, but are certain to be highly prized by collectors or wealthy players wanting to show off.
Yeah, I
The
love
Lake of Kalandra expansion contains
Speaking
14 new
very
unique
plainly.
items. In
Yeah.
addition to the Kalandra's Touch Ring that is exclusive to the Kalandra Challenge League, we've
Yeah, we got
introduced
foils,
a new endgame
baby.
pinnacle boss reward, a supporter unique, the Tower of Ordeal's unique map, 6 new Grand Spectrum jewels, and even some leveling uniques.
Alright, so I don't know any of the unique items.
The first we're showing you
It's not
today is
gonna-
Soul Ascension, a pair of gloves designed by Zizaran. They drop from the Uber Elder.
The
Soul
streamer
Eater is a
Zizaran?
very powerful buff, but it is usually hard to obtain in boss fights. This unique grants you the ability to gain stacks of Soul Eater when you hit a unique enemy, but also
Yeah,
makes you
wow.
lose those stacks if you aren't near one.
Yeah, I'm
Ghost
not
Rite
used to
is
that.
a leveling unique which allows you to play as an almost pure energy shield character during early parts of the campaign. We'll reveal the other new unique items in this expansion over the next week.
Energy shield. I'm curious what that
Path of
mechanic
Exile
is.
has a lot of unique items in its core drop pool, over 700 in fact. We feel that there are 2 big problems with unique items at the moment. The first is that you find too many, and the second is that they are generally pretty useless when you do. Sure, there are some powerful endgame or build-enabling uniques that feel amazing to find, but the
Alright.
majority of unique items found throughout the game are rarely actually useful to you. In the Lake of Kalandra expansion, we have made a lot of changes here.
Alright.
We have reduced the overall drop rate of uniques throughout the game and have rebalanced and overhauled over 100 existing unique items, with an emphasis on uniques in the core drop pool, including leveling uniques and some endgame uniques.
Good.
You're going to find unique items less frequently now, but when you do, they're going to be a lot more punchy.
They're going to actually feel like a unique.
Nectar's Lantern has been completely changed from the ground up. Previously, it was trying to allow you to play a hybrid attacker and spellcaster, but it didn't really work very well. With the new design, it's a lot more elegant and delivers on this goal by simply granting high damage and the Battle Mage effect, so that your weapon damage is added to your spells. Thousand
Nice.
Ribbons is an example of an item where we merely needed to tweak values on the existing mods to make it a lot better. We want mod value rolls to matter more, and this item now showcases that well.
I'm not reading this. I can't process that much information.
If you find a high rolled one early on, you're probably not replacing it for a long time.
I mean, I like
Malachi's
this a lot.
Simula was trying to deliver the Blood Mage fantasy by allowing you to spend life to cast your spells.
Ghosty,
This was
you
meant
need
to be special because the Blood Magic
Note
keystone
two,
was far
Ghosty.
away from the Witch starting location on the skill tree.
shitty uniques.
Unfortunately, this item wasn't really powerful enough to justify its use. It has now been overhauled, and alongside Blood Magic, it grants a powerful multiplicative damage boost.
Oh, Ghosty. Note 3. Actually showing the content, not marketing.
With over 100
All right.
uniques rebalanced in this way, your play experience is now punctuated by quite large bursts of power when you find one. We'll continue to examine the power level and rarity of more unique items in subsequent expansions. The Lake of Kalandra expansion includes 3 new skill gems and 1 new
How
support
long
gem.
are these? How long are these?
Alchemist's Mark is a new mark skill. Igniting or poisoning the marked target creates burning or caustic ground underneath them, based on the damage
I
of the strongest ignite or poison of the
Love
enemy.
marks in games.
The damage of the ground effects also scales with Curse and Mark effect, providing a non-standard way to scale your build's damage. Hitting the marked target also refills some of your flask charges. This new skill opens up an extra source of damage for Ignite or Poison-focused characters, especially for Ignite builds that want an alternative to Flame Surge, or Poison builds that cause fewer, higher damage poisons.
Listen how much he's just talking
This
about
high-level build
the
uses
fucking
Flame
game.
Blast, with 100% of the damage converted to Chaos, to inflict huge poisons on enemies. When Alchemist's Mark is cast on an enemy first, that enemy drops caustic ground when it's poisoned,
Who does
scaled by
that?
those big Flame Blast poison hits, melting everything into a puddle. Galvanic Field is a new shock-themed spell. When used, you gain a buff, granting a small bonus chance to shock. When you next shock an
All right,
enemy, the
thing
buff is
4,
consumed,
Ghosty.
and the
Who
enemy
talks
becomes
about the game?
energized,
That's note 4.
repeatedly
Who
zapping
talks about the
themselves
game?
and nearby targets, a lot like Ball Lightning. If the energized enemy dies, then the energy sits at their location and continues to zap things. Galvanic Field's area of effect and zap damage scale with the strength of the shock on the target. While Galvanic Field is great for any build that shocks, you can even fully build around it, and use a skill with increased shock effectiveness like Arc to shock enemies and kill them with a ball of death.
This is
Lightning Conduit is
unbelievable.
another new shock-themed spell. A wave propagates out from the target location, causing lightning bolts to strike all shocked enemies in a large area.
Like, I've not played Path of Exile.
The damage is scaled by the strength of the shock
not.
on each enemy.
I'm starting next week, right?
Lightning Conduit cannot itself shock and won't hit non-shocked enemies at all.
They do
The
this
challenge
every
with
3
skill
months?
is to find a way to consistently apply powerful shocks to your targets to make the most of Lightning Conduit's high damage potential and area of effect. This high-level build uses Wave of Conviction to shock enemies, before casting Lightning Conduit until they're obliterated. For longer fights, it can employ Galvanic Field to create a constant source of lightning damage.
I knew that leagues were every 3 months. Because, I mean, we talked about that at the start
Last
of the show.
but not least, Overcharge Support is a new support gem that causes supported skills to deal less damage, but makes them inflict much stronger shocks and grants them a higher chance to shock.
But, like,
Overcharge lets many different lightning skills create powerful shocks. Use this to
But they
take
do a
advantage of
reveal like
Shock's
this
large
every
damage
3 months?
multiplier, or to activate Lightning Conduit and Galvanic Field. As Path of Exile expands, we often revisit
Jesus.
previous leagues, reworking them so they stay relevant and engaging. In Lake of Kalandra, we are targeting 3 such leagues: Archnemesis, Beyond, and Harvest. The larger context here is that we've been re-examining what role rare and magic monsters have in Path of Exile. The introduction of Archnemesis modifiers as the monster mod pool prompted quite a lot of discussion about how often you should encounter rare and magic monsters, how difficult they should be to kill, and how rewarding their death should be. Previously, League content made fights hard by spawning a lot of rare monsters. A whole lot. in some cases 6 to 8 times the normal rate of rare monsters. Now that we have better mods available to make fights against rare monsters individually challenging, we have gone through the whole game and normalized the rate that rare monsters are spawned at. Some leagues had quite large reductions in spawn rate. You won't encounter situations with dozens of rare monsters on screen at once anymore. Alongside this reduction of how many rare monsters you'll face, we have improved their rewards and made sure that they scale with both difficulty of the encounter and any item rarity or quantity bonuses that you have. During the campaign, you'll only encounter 1 and 2 mod rare monsters. The 2 mod encounters are a bit harder and have better drops.
What
In
the
maps,
fuck?
you'll stop encountering 1 mod rare monsters entirely, and will mostly encounter 2 and 3 mod rare monsters. It'll also be possible to encounter 4 mod rare monsters
So much
again.
content!
Not only are the innate item drop bonuses scaled up significantly on monsters with many mods, but we have made these challenging encounters rewarding in another way too.
And you can also turn off the video and use this voice as ASMR
About
to
a
go
third
to
of the more
sleep.
powerful Arch-Nemesis modifiers now use a special reward conversion system. For example, if you defeat a monster with a Corruptor mod, all of its drops become corrupted. The Solaris Touched mod converts all of its item drops to maps.
The amount of chain lightnings, or the amount of bolts flying around.
The Katava Touch mod will cause the rarity of its drops to be upgraded by 1 tier, so magic becomes rare, rare becomes unique, and so on.
And so on. Oh,
If you're
and
lucky,
so
you can find
on.
these conversion modifiers on both the 3rd and 4th mod of a rare monster. This causes them to stack together. So if you kill a 4 mod rare monster with both the Entangler and Katava Touched mods on it, its heavily juiced drops will also be converted to jewels with their rarity upgraded by a tier. Due to the high amount of inherent item rarity that 4 mod rare monsters have, this may result in several unique jewels dropping. This conversion system is fully compatible with your item rarity and quantity bonuses, as well as the drop bonuses from all other Arch-Nemesis mods. Going forward, we want to make sure that a lot more item reward mechanics scale with your character item bonuses. Get your Magic Find characters ready.
Get horny for
As a result of
spreadsheets,
this system,
gamers.
when you do encounter a rare monster with many Arch-Nemesis mods, you are well rewarded for the difficult fight. We have also been listening to feedback about the Arch-Nemesis mods that can spawn on magic monsters. Too many of them had external visual clarity issues like on-death effects. We have toned these down on magic monsters so that more of them are stat-based bonuses that aren't so spammy. Encounters that spawn a series of magic monsters now make sure to preserve the same Arch-Nemesis modifiers between the monsters rather than rolling a different one for each monster. This will further help keep the game state understandable in hectic situations. Beyond was introduced in August 2014, initially as a hardcore-only challenge league. It's 8 years old now and certainly has several issues. Firstly, the art. Have you ever really taken a close look at a Beyond Demon? It is literally a bandit from Act 2, dunked in red paint. The second issue is its balance. The number of magic and rare monsters spawned is so much higher than the rest of the game, and whatever
Fuck, this
problems
guy
that resulted
owns.
in before are magnified now that rare monsters are meant to be more difficult. Beyond also spawns way too many unique bosses, which causes its own set of issues. In Lake of Kalandra, we have given Beyond much more than a fresh coat of paint. The Scourge have taken over the realm of the Beyond Demons. The old bandit Beyond Demons are gone. Summoning monsters from Beyond will now summon Scourge monsters and bosses. We have completely rebalanced the rate that Beyond monsters and bosses spawn at so that it's appropriate for modern Path of Exile. The new Beyond monsters can now occasionally drop the Scourge League's tainted currency items that allow you to modify corrupted items. We've also completely revamped how harvest crafting works. Rather than being presented with a selection of crafting options that must be used immediately, you now receive itemized tradable life force of the appropriate color. This life force can be used later, in your own time, at the Hoarder crafting bench in your hideout. Its crafting options are now priced in terms of this itemized life force currency.
Alright, this doesn't quite mean
Tier
anything
4
to me, but
bosses
you're
are now
very
encountered
excited.
much more frequently and can drop a key to fight a Shabi. She yields special life force which can be used for a specific set of crafts. We have rebalanced all harvest crafts for the new system and have removed a bunch of filler crafts and some ones with deterministic outcomes that were incredibly RNG gated before. Some crafts that provided access to exclusive content, like the special offerings to the goddess, have been removed because these items can now be found in more appropriate locations elsewhere in the game. The result of these changes is that when you complete a harvest,
does this
you
game
are
have
presented
built-in
with 30
gambling
crafts,
for
which
your
must either be used immediately or
lifelong
unsafely
built-in
traded
gambler
to
day
some
night?
player you found on a community Discord server. It also means that every bit of life force you receive is going towards a craft that you actually want to use on one of your items, when you're ready to use it. Your interaction with the Sacred Grove is now far simpler as well. Just enter, pick your plots, defeat the monsters, and get on with your mapping. Like with Arch Nemesis and beyond, we have also addressed the monster composition of Harvest's fights, so that it doesn't contain too many rare monster mods and so that it is of appropriate difficulty for its rewards. In addition, the rewards for Harvest now scale with map quantity and pack size, incentivizing you to juice your maps. Previously, the crafts you received were not scaled up at all if you played a harder map.
Oh my god.
Last week, we posted this expansion's character balance manifesto, which detailed the many changes we're making in Lake of Kalandra. There are plenty more changes, which
we're releasing the balance changes in a leather-bound tome.
But on this stream, I'd like to talk about a few specific areas: minion itemization, Exalted and Divine Orbs, and the Trickster Ascendancy class. Historically, minion builds have not been particularly reliant on the stats of their items. Most of the power of their minions came from their skill and support gems.
Sure.
This led to a few problems. Firstly, it gave them a bit of a free ride compared to most other character builds. And secondly, it meant that it was hard for minion players to actually specialize their character to be really good.
Person that loves summons right here?
We want to solve both of these problems in this expansion. Path of Exile is a game about items, and that means that you will now be strongly rewarded for finding items that make your minions better. It also means that, like with other builds, if you find good items, you'll be far more damaging and survivable than before. We described a variety of minion changes in last week's Character Balance Manifesto. Today I want to show you the new base item types we have added to help your minion itemization. We've added a new ring base type, the Bone Ring. This ring has implicit minion elemental resistances and can roll minion related modifiers.
Oh nice.
We've added level 20 and 50 versions of the Convoking Wand, called the Calling Wand and Covening Wand respectively.
I'm just going to say, this seems like a buff Axis. Ghosty, buff Axis for
some new minion-related
minions.
mods have been added to the pool available to these wands, and some existing mods have been adjusted or made more common. We have repurposed the bone-themed spirit shields so that they have minion damage implicit mods rather than spell damage, and can also roll minion-related mods.
Thanks, Ghosty.
Alongside the stable of existing unique items, there's now quite a lot more base type support for minion characters, and good mods on those base types can stack up to some pretty large bonuses for your minions. I also wanted to discuss two of the rarest currency items in Path of Exile,
the Behemoth.
Divine Orbs and Exalted Orbs. These actually have the same drop rate, but Exalted Orbs are worth so much more in trade because there's no easy vendor recipe for them, and because they're consumed when you craft certain meta mods onto items. Out of these two currency items, we would actually prefer the Divine Orb effect to be rarer, so that unique items with good rolls matter more, and so that players can exalt craft their items more frequently. We are making two changes that will impact this. Firstly, we are changing the cost of crafting meta mods so that they cost Divine Orbs rather than Exalted Orbs. Secondly, we are changing the 6-link vendor recipe to grant 20 Orbs of Fusing rather than a Divine Orb. This change will result in Exalted Orbs being far more available for crafting, and Divine Orbs less available for re-rolling mods on items.
Aren't those two like the
It'll
core
certainly be
currencies
interesting
in the
to see what the de facto trade currency becomes next league.
Because I mean, I heard about Exalted Orbs long before I knew much
Next,
about
I'd like to
Exile.
talk about the Trickster Ascendancy class. We haven't been happy with the state of this Ascendancy class recently. While it used to be quite powerful, we moved its defining feature, Ghost Dance, onto the main passive skill tree. Since then, it has had a confused identity and hasn't met the power level of the other Ascendancy classes. In this expansion, we have reworked the Trickster with a focus on establishing thematically appropriate defenses and ways to manipulate speed. One step ahead allows the Trickster to manipulate time in an interesting way. Enemies are slower than normal and cannot have their action speed raised above this value, such as through an acceleration shrine. Conversely, the Trickster is faster by default and cannot have action speed lowered below this value, effectively making them immune to effects that lower action speed such as freeze, chill, or temporal chains.
Oh, interesting.
Spellbreaker ties together spell suppression and energy shield in a powerful way. Spellbreaker grants some spell suppression chance, which is an effect that reduces damage taken from spells. The skill also starts your energy shield recharge half the time you suppress spells. Since Trickster characters tend to have a high evasion rating, you will be evading some hits and recharging on others, meaning that your energy shield recharge stays active most of the time. Spellbreaker also further improves defenses by reducing the damage you take from suppressed spells while on full energy shield.
This has been going on for 30 minutes.
For those that want a different way to recover energy shield, the powerful Soul Drinker notable passive is no longer exclusive to Forbidden Jewels from the Uber-Searing Exarch and Eater of Worlds. Any Trickster can now allocate this skill.
I mean, yeah, I play RPGs,
more bonus
ARPGs
damage,
before,
life, mana,
so
and energy
there's
shield
some
on kill for
familiarity
each
with
different
this.
type of mastery you have allocated.
I don't know what an energy shield is.
It reinforces the idea of a Trickster being a jack of all trades, and will lead to interesting decisions when planning your passive tree, trying to fit in as many different types of masteries as possible. Overall, the new Trickster is intended to be the Shadow's answer to the Champion, but faster. He should be an exciting option for players who want to get a lot of evasion, energy shield, and recovery out of their Ascendancy class while still being able to melt enemies.
Very Castlevania.
Alongside today's livestream, we're launching 2 new series of supporter packs, the Knight and Rogue packs. Each tier contains the pack's full face value and points, plus several exclusive microtransactions. These packs are only available during the Kalandra League and will leave the store forever in 3 months.
FOMO!
Every microtransaction you're about to see is entirely cosmetic and does not affect your character's progression or power. The Knight Pack series contains 6 exclusive microtransactions, including the full Knightmaster armor set. The Etheric Mana Flask releases a burst of mana upon activation, then draws in energy from the environment as your mana refills. The Hoarder's Stash is a stash skin that can be used in your hideout. As you place items in the stash, they hover above it until you're finished, before being sucked into storage.
I mean, that's pretty sweet.
This is the Knightmaster armor set. While wearing its helmet, your actions are periodically duplicated by an ethereal copy of yourself.
Oh, dude, that's sweet.
The Blood-Scouring Cloak absorbs blood as you slay monsters. It tracks your kill streak and cleans itself off when the slaughter ends. The Ring of the Victor causes a podium to rise up underneath you when you are standing still, elevating you above other players.
Oh, dude, I want to stand still so bad.
The Warlord's Lieutenant Portal summons a warrior spirit who will greet you, cheer you on, and commend you on your actions.
Good job, Day9, you're doing great.
The Rogue Pack series has 6 exclusive microtransactions, including the Rogue Stalker armor set. The Beast of Burden Pit visually carries your items for you, becoming more laden with bags and packs the more full your inventory gets.
Oh, what a good dog. Oh my god, it's a dog. I have a dog. My dog
The
rules.
Collector Serpent Shield covets the treasure you find. Whenever you pick up an item, the serpent darts out to grab it. This is the Rogue Stalker armor set. While wearing its gloves, critical strikes cause blades to appear and slice at your enemies.
Love the mask.
The Corpse Bloom footprints cause exotic plant growth in your wake. The plants especially love corpses and will seek them out and grow in larger patches around them.
Ooh. Very Spirit of the Forest, very Miyazaki.
On the other hand, the Undertaker's Amulet inters corpses for you, burying them and marking their location with gravestones. The Unstable Explosives back attachment is not for the faint of heart. As your life gets lower and lower, it gets closer and closer to exploding.
Oh, that's so good!
And when you die, your party members will certainly feel it. As I mentioned before, these packs are exclusive to the Kalandra League and will leave the store in 3 months. They're available right now at pathofexile.com/purchase, and they directly fund the ongoing development of Path of Exile 2 and Path of Exile 1 expansions like Lake of Kalandra. In addition, the supporter packs introduced with the Sentinel expansion are leaving the store forever in 1 week. Now's your last chance to purchase them, and we greatly appreciate your support. Speaking of things leaving the store, the Kyrix Vault Pass for Sentinel is only available for the next few days also, and will leave the store forever when the league ends. There's no penalty for purchasing the pass late in the league after you've wrapped up your map completion, so if you're pleased with where you got to in maps and Sentinel and want to lock in your unique skins, it's not too late to buy your pass. Next up, we've got the Q&A with Ziggy D. Once that ends, we'll post the full
Ziggy
patch
D's
notes for
also
Lake
a
of Kalandra.
streamer, right?
Over the next week, our community team will post teasers for new and revamped unique items, upcoming quality of life improvements, and an announcement for the League launch race event.
I know everything.
On launch weekend, we'll be running another set of Twitch drops, and expect to release the new Mystery Box and Kyrix Vault Pass in the days after launch. Thanks for joining us and checking out today's reveals. We can't wait to see you in Rayclast on August 19th. We'll begin the Q&A in a few moments, so please get your questions ready in chat.
What the hell? Dude! Okay. Ghosty. I'm gonna begin with the third thing I told you. Some reactions. From your pal, Shondo. So, first things first. Dude, like... why is my thing blowing up? Okay, so... Alright. Okay. Alright, okay, and good. Okay, so first of all, first thing I want to talk about. I can't believe I just witnessed 30+ minutes of a developer talking about the game. You know what I mean? So often, it's this marketing style communication, you know? It's these things like, build your own character, tell your own tale, go anywhere, do anything, be the champion that Rayclast needs. In this one, it's like, okay, so this used to have an 8% buff to that, but we change it to prevent a debuff that works in this way. Look!
G'day, folks. Ziggy D here. Welcome back, Exiles. Chris, good morning.
Hey, good morning.
Excellent to have you back for some Q&A action after some very big announcements. Firstly, though, super exciting news about Exilecon returning next year. It's actually a kind of a, I don't know if it was the same for other people, but it was kind of an emotional announcement because that was such a beautiful time for us last Exilecon, and you know it's been a hard few years, I think, as well. So it hits kind of extra hard. What led to the decision to organize a new Exilecon now?
Well, we've wanted to run another one for a while, and it was unfortunate that immediately after the last one, there was the global pandemic and stuff, and that just made it too difficult to organize events, plus all of the safety issues. But things are looking both a bit safer, and we certainly have a lot of Path of Exile 2 stuff
I'll give my thoughts later.
This kind of fits into the overall marketing plan for Path of Exile 2, is that next year is the year that we start to reveal pretty much everything. We're going to go through every game system, we're going to show all the areas, the classes, like... So much has changed since last time we talked about it. Like, it has evolved to be a bigger thing, and we want to talk about that in detail. And so we're going to start the marketing. Everything's going to debut at Exilecon 2023. And it's an opportunity people can play the basically complete game at that stage. We can announce when the beta date's starting. We can go through panels of all of the things. And then we can... you know, kickstart the marketing and show people in other territories. You know, I think there's Gamescom, PAX West, and so on, various other places that we can then take that to after Exile.
I'm going to make a prediction that Path of Exile 2 is going to be playable within a month of its announcement at Exilecon.
Before July
prediction.
Next year, that's correct.
That's true. We've been holding our breaths, I think, since last Exilecon. And that was like such a huge reveal then, but a lot of what was revealed has kind of leaked its way in games since then. So I imagine that if you've got a whole new Exilecon of stuff to show, then, you know, how much more progress has there been made since then?
Yeah. Well, don't get your hopes up. We're not announcing another new sequel. Like the ability to announce Path of Exile 2 on stage was a surprise that was amazing, but we're not announcing a Path of Exile 3. Obviously, this is all about Path of Exile 2 and mobile, and whatever Path of Exile 1 expansion is immediately coming out after Exilecon, like the next one in the chain.
I mean, if you want to grab some news headlines, just be like, forget about Path of Exile 2. We're going straight to PoE 3.
Dude, that's like Dude Bro Party Massacre 3.
How cold is it in Auckland in July, by the way? That's in winter for you Northern Hemisphere folks.
It's not too bad, actually. I mean, I'm in a t-shirt today, right? Like, it's pretty mild. It's not like the frigid suburbs of Melbourne or wherever you guys are. But seriously, for people in the Northern Hemisphere, I understand that your winters involve things like snow. We don't get that here. It's pretty much like 8 to 25 degrees C, depending on what day it is, and it's not too bad.
All right, so I mean, if they're going to talk about the weather,
there's a really good ski, season going on at the same time in the cold parts of New Zealand, but in Auckland, it's no problem whatsoever.
They're literally like, how many people are watching this conversation with 100,000?
Issue.
Great, but yes, don't bring your board shorts and singlet
Hey,
shorts.
what's up, Michael?
Bring some warm clothes and make some considerations if you're cosplaying as well. I was originally planning a Tentacle Miscreation cosplay, but I'm gonna have to change my plans, I think. So, Lake of Kalandra is the new league this time around, and the mirrored lakes look incredible. I love the basalt columns rising out and the reflection of the clouds and sun and stuff on the water. Is there some like new graphical tech here, or is this just finding some creative new ways to use what you've got?
Well, the great thing about the way we're developing Path of Exile 1 and 2 is we get basically the PoE 2 engine and PoE 1 that we can use as we see fit, and so that means when we wanted like surface reflections.
I see. They're just reappropriating the tech from their upcoming game.
Less than 1 day, and so it's really helpful that we have like a world-class team of graphics engineers working on iterating. Even though we're not using most of the capabilities in PoE 1, when we need to, we're definitely able to.
Awesome. Kalandra is such a mythical figure in PoE 2 as well, so like to do an expansion dedicated to her is a big decision, I guess.
Is this something that is like highly underrated in game dev? Is having really good tools that can be really swift to allow you to apply what you have to a bunch of different stuff. And I know I've actually watched talks from Chris Wilson about how Grinding Gear Games uses their tools to be able to quickly deploy lots of content. And I mean, this is like also Elden Ring was able to do this because they have so many robust tools
with the out of area builder
that allows them to take what they did in the past and apply it to the future stuff.
Her or the lake being able to reflect various aspects of Ray class, fitting in with the mirror theme, and also fitting in with the fact that you're choosing encounters, many of which are League content that players have played before with a bit of a twist on it. It helps kind of justify the fact that you're, fighting breaches and that kind of stuff, not just arbitrarily. It's because she and the lake are intentionally able to actually manifest stuff from elsewhere in Rayclast.
Speaking of like this zone building concept, this seems like a pretty natural evolution of Synthesis' custom map building, which I'm very excited to see a expansion on that concept. But you don't need to collect a bunch of physical things this time. How is your approach to designing League content like this changing?
Well, we see this one as similar to Synthesis, similar to Incursion as well, because you're building an area, and we like to think that we've learned from mistakes we made in the past, which may not be the same mistakes that Twitch chat would call out that we'd be making, but we have certainly improved how we're doing it. Also, another aspect here is that the difficulty scaling, in this case based on Manhattan distance depth from the origin when you're playing, that is similar to what we were doing in both Delirium, where there was difficulty based on distance from origin, and also with Sentinel, where you've got empowerment scores based on a bunch of stuff. So we've learned various ways of juicing up the risk and reward together and using the same kind of math here. But in terms of how we're iterating on these area,
Plocky122 says, visual clarity is still ass and will remain ass.
It's relatively easy. You find your mirror tablet, you put some reflections on it, and then you run it.
I'm gonna make a claim, Loki. I'm gonna make a claim.
But that comes at the cost.
I kind of feel like in ARPGs,
and so it in some ways rewards
that in a way the visual noisiness, parsing it, is one of the skill/experiences.
Segues into my next question. Was like,
I feel like that's like that feels core to me in that kind of game. You know what I mean?
Kind of jump in and run some fun content versus the people who really want to think about.
I don't know. But also I like when things are exploding and going crazy. You know what I mean?
So if you were to sit there just skipping lots of choices, trying very hard to get the things that move stuff around, you'd take forever to complete a tablet. And maybe you'd get one that's really cool and worth a lot, but you could have done 2 tablets in the same time. But you'll find situations where you realize, if I just swap this entrance location, it juices half the encounters on the tablet by a huge amount. And with one small change, or maybe moving one of the water tiles around to make a really long windy path around
imagine
it,
being a graphics
those kind of things
programmer on
there
this game.
will
Just
let a
imagine
person
that.
who's thinking about it deeply get a lot of extra value from the tablet. But to be completely honest, the way I'm playing it is slap some reflections on there and then go and struggle to complete them. So yeah, it's only really the skilled players who are the ones who are going to want to be juicing it all the way.
That sounds familiar. How many maps does it take on average to build a mirrored lake at endgame?
So in the end game, there's approximately 11 or 12 blank tiles to fill in. The tablet size varies a little bit as it gets larger as you progress through. You'd normally get about 2 reflections per map, and so that's approximately 5 to 6 areas for each lake tablet that you want to build. So this is about twice as often as Incursion, where you'd be getting an Incursion temple every 11 areas or so. So we've doubled the rate that you're doing that, and these can be saved up. So it's entirely possible to just stack up a giant pile of maps of lakes, in your
You
your
can
stash and
tell
come back to them
that
later
this
on if you want
man
to, and of course they're fully tradable.
plays
so if you
the
want to run a
fuck
lot
out
more
of this
lakes,
game.
You can just buy them from the trade.
This is the thing. This is the biggest thing that is just disarming for me. Watching all this stuff, watching the Q&A, like watching the entire presentation, is that again what I am used to. Like I host the PC gaming show. I've hosted it 8 times now. Okay. One of the most viewed press conferences at E3. And, I mean, there's a certain pattern that you get in those, say 2 to 5 minute segments with people, which is they want to give a quick snapshot, a quick gist, and it's not like there's
transmissibility over them, so you can
lying happening, but it's a certain, just like, we're very excited, we have 5 new biomes. It's everything from the previous game, but this is scaled up a notch. And then they leave the stage, right? There's just not enough time to dive deep. Or often when you watch a trailer, it's showing explosions, it's showing a few things. And dude, in this presentation, they're showing an item with like 40 lines of text on it next to its changed item with 40 lines of text on it. And they're like completely... They're just showing literally the most nitty-gritty of the game.
You had another copy of that ring equipped. One way to look at it.
I mean, it's insane.
You took a mirror of Kalandra
and then Chris Wilson's talking. Chris Wilson's just like, yeah, no, compared to in that expansion, the frequency of a kind of thing that is experientially similar to this is in this way. I mean, it's insane. It's ridiculous.
Theoretically, the best ring in the game, I guess. So it does work on uniques, but you probably might be better off in some cases.
And it's dynamic as well, of course. You can take it, mirror your ring, mirror a different one, trade it to someone else. It's not locked in like an actual mirror is. But of course, only works on rings.
That's pretty awesome. Aldersberg asks, are there any Lake of Kalandra mechanics timed? Oh, any of the Lake of Kalandra mechanics timed?
Not that I'm aware of. We tried very hard to not have this be a timed league.
Great.
Are you aware of any that are timed?
I mean, stuff like Delirium.
Yeah, right. Things like Delirium or Breach, where if you pop a Breach open, obviously it's going to close with the normal timing that league has, but there's no specific benefits for going fast.
I really would love to see the prep manual this team puts together for streams like this. Okay, Sortor, I can give some visibility into this because I've worked in
more stuff in proportion to this
gaming space for a long time, and as I just got done saying, I've hosted the PC gaming show a lot of times. I think 8. Now that I've said that, I'm not sure. Maybe it's 7.
I recommend having
maybe it's 9. Some amount.
Footage that we showed in the trailer and the live stream.
And the fact of the matter is, when people are on stage talking about their thing, by and large, the amount of prep is not much.
So it can be seen
by and large, the amount of prep is not really that much.
Where it's roughly square-shaped islands, except that the shape of each one is
90% of what whoever is saying, they're saying because that's just already in their head.
This idea of like a
so an example of the kind of thing that for instance with the PC gaming show is where developers will have maybe 50 things that they want to say, and their PR team is like, make sure you keep hitting these 3 points, make sure you keep hitting these 3 points, and then in discussing with the dev, I might say something that makes them go, oh yeah, it reminds me of this 4th thing and this 5th thing, but really thing 1, 2, 3, they always pull back to, and this sort of thing. So the fact that Chris Wilson is just comfortably answering and referencing this sort of stuff
So there's two.
I mean, it is plausible that there's like a thick manual, but I mean,
which is much harder to get and much more.
I have a lot of experience with this sort of thing.
Provides you occasionally, and of course this is
that's just in his head already, right?
Encounters. This, in proportion to difficulty, will occasionally generate one of these new base types that have some pretty interesting properties. And I think people should always look at the announcement page that we make, pathofexile.com/Kalandra, because we like to hide away things like
weird places. I mean, for the obscure stuff, you can see him look at his
lots
team
of extra
for
information and cool things people can see, more screenshots, but I mean, stuff, including one of those actual rings, so you can see what it does.
Are you doing any more like secret hidden things
having
on those pages?
access
like you
to
did
that
one
sort
time?
of information
or something?
is unbelievably different than.
I liked that.
I did actually have to get the team to
that.
remove a secret hidden thing from the page that was too secret. Players can find that in game.
Gosh, too secret. Okay.
I don't want to say that.
New rare modifiers, or is this mostly about scaling mods beyond their regular power levels? Like we saw 100.
If you have a teleprompter,
other than the implicit
that says say this, then this, then this, then this.
There are no new rare modifiers.
But you don't understand the substance of what's behind the teleprompter. Literally, if someone gives you a script to read, you don't understand the substance.
So, yeah,
everyone watching can tell.
The dream here is that you
like everyone watching can tell. If you have a teleprompter, but you do know the substance,
you also get like some damage over time stuff and those things.
Like deeply.
You weren't using them.
Then you're okay, right? Like the amount of and if you remove the teleprompter and you have that deep knowledge, it tends to be quite similar to with the teleprompter.
Rings and amulets.
Like I feel like when it comes to information, there is this misconception that I need to know what the words are, and if I have what the words are, I'm good. When really standing up and speaking is way, way, way more about I need to know what the hell I'm talking about. And then the teleprompter can kind of like remind you and reorient you. Oh, that's right, we do need to talk about this. Oh, that's right, we need to talk to you about that. And I bring this up because it does not matter how many people are there to answer other questions. This is just a human that understands this game at a level that is insane.
And because of that, the tablets are itemized, and it's always there for the encounter that has it. And so basically, you will be able to see on a tablet that you're about to run, or one that you're trading for, that it has that. And this means you can either know in advance that it's there, which probably means that tablet commands a higher premium in trade, unless you bring an item in, or because you've got your 6 map portals, if you completely forget and you run into this encounter, you can, at worst, go out using a portal and come back in with the item you need.
Okay, great.
Look at that guy's speed.
Jesus! You can YOLO mist one of your current items, potentially, just take a gamble on your current amulet and see what happens.
Oh no.
Look, he's making a joke about gambling on
Can you mirror an already mirrored unique, like, a ring or amulet?
No, we had a look, and, like, with recombinators, we wanted to allow crazy, where you can do, well, you've seen what recombinators can do. But we had a look here because this is already doing quite crazy stuff with items, and we've had to disallow it working on mirrored items, and influenced items, and corrupted items, and synthesized jewelry. A lot of cases that would have been totally nuts. Having said that, it can still do some broken stuff with just general rares from the game, like the ability to double half the mods is completely unprecedented, and you don't really need influence mods in play when you're getting vast amounts of life and resists and other types of damage.
And there was a new oil to anoint mirrored items, since we're getting so many this league, and you're like, oh, I didn't oil it first.
Get more questions.
Is that like super rare, or is that pretty accessible?
Yeah, I think this guy plays Path of Exile.
Oil, but you don't need to complete corrupted blighted maps. You can just get it from regular blighted maps. And of course, the intention here is that now that there's a lot of mirrored amulets floating around from this crafting system, you don't feel like you're missing.
Dude, Ghosty says, "Oh my goodness, Path of Exile's on GeForce now." Looks like your potato PC might have something to do.
Or Glacier run to the tablet mirror and not kill monsters. This is like quarry farming mirror. How does the mirror spawn? Like the tablet spawn, I should say.
My understanding is that the mirror tablet does not spawn if you are massively over level for the area, which is what we've done for years with this kind of stuff. That may mean that you can essentially assemble pre-map tablets, right? I'm not sure of the exact, like how punitive we've come down on that, but they won't have the various reflections that can occur in map content.
Scored a drop.
So by playing pre-map ones, you can't itemize them, you have to run them on the spot, because to stress...
Look at me, getting a drop on my own channel.
Are itemizable.
Crazy.
Campaign ones have to be played as you complete them. So it's not a good way of farming for trade value that way. Having said that, you may be able to still run quite a lot of tablets just for the regular rewards from them.
Yeah, we've mostly seen low-level farming methods like that pay out when the mechanic rewards a lot of generic currency.
All right, I'm going to turn this Q&A down. If you want to watch the main Q&A, it's on the channel Path of Exile.
The rewards are
I mean, the fact of the matter is that like they're sort of going into detail on things, which is great if you play the game, but I haven't played the game, so I don't know. I don't know what any of these informational bits mean. But let me go to my Ghost Stalker notes thing here. Where's my Ghost notes? All right, so first of all, I am so used to these very brief conversations from developers that are speaking at a very high level, a very conceptual level, about their games. I am so used to this. And, like, it is so bizarre to watch...
But also,
hey, here's this bit of content, and here's... let me just show you how the mechanics works, and we're going to hover over, we're going to look at some of the text, we're going to talk about how that's going to change your gameplay. Alright, let's take a look at some footage of this hero doing some stuff, and then let's go over to the skill tree and show this skill tree and talk about the skill tree and hover over and look at some text, talk about how it's changing. That's so rare. That's so rare. I mean, there's a few games that do this. Like, that's one of the reasons why Magic the Gathering is one of my all-time favorite games. Magic the Gathering has preview season. My God, sorry, my brain melted for a second. As preview season, where they're showing cards that are going to be in the upcoming set, and they just show the card. That's it. Nothing but just showing the gameplay bit. People like look through. Ooh, let me analyze this. Ooh, that's interesting.
Where I was asked, can you please try this one?
It's so rare. It's so insane. Isn't it always preview season now? That's probably true, Kronos.
There are gangs of
so yeah, the
that you find like in roaming packs that are trying to hunt you down. And the map
that's just staggering to me. That's just staggering to me.
With that number, but it was certainly nuts.
Second piece.
I kind of want to emphasize these aren't incredibly common in maps.
I don't want to talk about. All right, let's turn down this competent-ass CEO. I must be the most audible thing on screen.
Just go a bit overboard with the rewards. Like we can do crazy stuff.
Pull this down even a little bit more. Yeah, because like, dude. Yeah, like. Here's some of the things that I wanted to say as reactions to when I was watching that release. So first, there are so many games that are both AAA, AA, indie, and everything in between, where they'll just have like 3 flat classes. Do y'all remember when I played Hood, Outlaws, and Legends? It is an example that I streamed on this channel. And I know I criticized that game relatively heavily when it came out, but I mean, it's still this theme of like, okay, here's a fighter, and he has a light attack and a heavy attack and a shield. Okay, here's a ranger who has a dodge and can shoot an arrow and then can fire 3 arrows at once. Then we have the mage that has like a spell and a teleport and a frost thing, right? And it's just like, and that's it. And those are, boop. That's your content. Go to town, gamers. And I mean, the sheer scope of the amount of shit in this game. Like, as someone who has not played this game before, but has played many action RPGs in the past, there's a lot of clarity visually that different things are happening, that different effects are happening, that there's different builds, and I happen to know about the enormous sphere grid in this game, the skill tree in this game, that you kind of build your own class, build your own style, build your own character. And it goes like psychotically deep. And it's ridiculous to me to see a game like this that exists. I guess. And I mean, I absolutely recognize that this game has been out for a long time, has been having content and iteration for a long time, but I mean, it's still, at launch, had a hell of a lot more than most games that I know at launch. Oh yeah, another comment about shitty uniques. Okay. Dude.
Yeah, this is one of those difficult challenges.
The number of games that have, okay, there's normal items, and there's magical, then there's unique items, then there's set items. And, like, almost always the magical items are better than the uniques. You know what I'm talking about? Like, what is going on? What happened in ARPG Town?
But for this, we sympathize with...
and when they were just like, yeah, we have a whole bunch of uniques. And, you know, there was a real problem that they dropped frequently, and they kind of sucked. I fucking cracked me up. And the third one, was another one. Oh yeah, the buff access for minions. Yeah. This is.
Do these counters like your Atlas completion when you
Boop.
do these maps?
Yes. I should note.
All right, if you've never been to my channel, I do this a lot.
And they are quite valuable. So you're probably going to have a lot of completion by the end of the game. This is
All
not
right,
a
so
thing where you're completing a white map.
there's this thing that happens with a lot of skills in games where you kind of climb up and then you flatline,
They're certainly very
and like your items just kind of grow like this.
to apply it to a
So when they said that they were transferring power from
up tiers rather than down.
skills to
Sending as that can go through
items, I feel like it lowers the weak end and raises the high end.
This is how it's meant.
So that's just what I think about that. I think minions are rad.
We'll confirm. Like we'll announce if it is not.
And I think that one of the reasons
As it should do.
why is because they seem so intuitively connected to spells, not intuitively connected to items. And items are the mechanism by which scaling occurs. So, you know.
We looked into that, but instead we made it so that they can fully overlap each other.
And it's funny because there's some games that even leverage this. Like in Dota, this is the difference between
Probably won't because they snake randomly.
spell damage heavy heroes and physical damage heavy heroes, which is that the spell damage heavy heroes tend to peak in the mid game because you can get all your abilities maxed out by like level 18,
Based on naturally finding.
and then they deal as much damage as they deal, and that's it.
Okay, now expectations are set.
Whereas you really want to have physical damage dealers that can just do
What happens
insane
if you
things.
fail, and can you fail, I guess? The Atlas memory map things.
I mean, you can certainly run out of portals, but you can still play the next one in the sequence. So it gives you your entitlement of having.
So if I am to
Now,
If I am to play... Oh, yeah, also, speaking of microtransactions, I love that they were like, all the microtransactions are purely cosmetic. And they showed cosmetics that I was just like, fuck yeah, I get to be on a little platform and elevate above people. That's exactly why I would want to buy some shit.
One particular map. Will there be any
And I mean, honestly, most of what I like to buy in games is content. They happen to give all this content away for free, but I mean... And I was saying this at the start, I don't really have an issue with any game company charging for their stuff. I really don't. You know, I paid $60 for Elden Ring, great. And then I have purchased all sorts of card packs in Magic. It's great, that's fine. But what I really hate is when there is a robust economy around purchasing and not that much content, not that much interesting gameplay. And again, I will go back to this joke about, welcome to our game, we have 3 classes, the warrior, the rogue, and the mage. We also have a battle pass where you can unlock a blue pair of pants for your mage. Right? There's just, they don't have enough content in the game, so there's no way to have microtransactions that make sense with it.
You do several pieces of content, you get some pieces that you can put together, like making Harbinger uniques. You place them next to each other in the inventory. And it's, you know, go play some Val content, see what drops, post it on Reddit, you know. It won't be too hard to work out.
MTGA cosmetics. Yeah, I mean... Like, Magic is like, you can get different card sleeves, which is alright, right?
In the patch notes that we're posting as soon as we finish
But
talking.
if Magic was trying to sell me cosmetics, I don't think I've purchased a single cosmetic in Magic.
As there's like some sort of creation process.
Because I don't
here,
give a
is that
shit.
something you can influence the
I'm there for the
map
game.
anyway, or are those
The
like
art that's on the
random
front side of the card that they made is amazing. Why would I not want to look at it? There it is. Just let me pay for the gameplay. So I do. There it is.
On it, you'll have to, of course, complete said Val content many times.
Alright. On new and rebalanced
We're playing next league. Heltoff, we're doing 2
we
things.
asked about the
First, I'm going to
ranks,
spend Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday
is the, lowest
getting the
upgrade
gist of the
abilities
game.
below
And I might
the
only just do
void
like
specific
Tuesday, Wednesday, getting the gist of Path of Exile. Just playing it and getting used to it.
Drops from specific bosses at all.
So it doesn't affect guaranteed boss drops. It is a global change, but we've gone
fuck
through and
am I talking
reassessed the
about?
rarity of each unique. Like we've kind of taken the old system.
And then I'm going to be
like,
playing
through every
Lake of
unique,
Kalandra on
why is this one
release,
quite rare? We should have it be common, and, so
and
on.
probably a little bit the
Overall,
following
this
week as
means
well.
that you are finding fewer uniques per hour that you play. But the difference between the uniques is quite
You
staggering.
may be prone to
I would much
a
rather
PoE
find
addiction.
one
That
item
could
per
be
time
true.
period that I can actually use or has some trade
I had a
value,
friend that every time a league would launch,
a bit more than one
I wouldn't
item,
hear from him for
which
4
is
days
probably
because he would
useless.
just
And so
play
it does feel
and
quite
stay up till his
now
body
and
gave
then
out,
likes to
go to
use
sleep,
control
get up,
screen
play till his body gave out, go to sleep,
spamming
get up, play till his body
spamming
gave out,
over the top.
and then go to work
And that's
at
because
Wednesday
we
the
don't post
following
in
week.
the patch notes every time we implicitly increase the drop rate of uniques in the past. We just happen to increase it too much.
When you make a change like this, do you think, people are going to have less alks? And then, like, change the drop of alks or something? Or
There were other currency items I was focusing on this league.
Indeed. So you've got a long list of uniques getting changed here, but as mentioned that there are just many more in the game. There's so many now.
Oh, sorry, I thought I
think
muted.
that whenever you do like a big list of buffs like this, and the buffs themselves are pretty substantial for the most part.
Leftwin's trying to
people
guess
feel
who it
really
is.
sad about whatever ones did.
Well, you know.
For example, I don't think I saw.
But Trace may very well do that.
Sad. Is there any plans to give like similar treatment to more uniques in the future then?
Pathlosing Simulator says, I really recommend using the Discord to curate starter builds for veteran players. Making a build is one of the hardest things to do, so offloading that effort is kind of important. Yeah, I need to spend some time thinking about what my approach is going to be in that regard. The fact of the matter is,
but we're not promising that we'll do every other unique in the next one.
People want to know what the process is for creating unique items for
some of the fun.
Bosses.
Okay, here's the thing that I think is fun for me with a lot of strategy or builds or things like this. A lot of the fun for me is I have a problem, and then I try to fiddle, and then I both discover a solution, and then I see how that solution helped this problem that I had. Whereas if I, say, started with the best possible build and a guide alongside,
we ran into some problems. The first problem was that the same
I would succeed, but I wouldn't really see and feel why I succeeded.
Sorry, the same people are getting to make multiple uniques, which isn't a problem from a
so
point of view, competition.
But there's also an argument to be made, well, there's a starter build
or something like that, because
that is a more helpful guide to get you 30 hours in, as opposed to if you went in with no guide where you'd get 10 hours in and have some issues.
Don't have the time to actually fully engage with our design team in the relatively time-consuming process of making these, because there's other things happening.
But this is also one of the reasons why what I'm planning on doing, and the fact of the matter is, should I go in with a guide and no backseating? Excuse me, go in with a guide and all sorts of backseating, or go in with no backseating and do it all myself? That's a question that I don't actually know the answer to, which is why I'm spending Tuesday and Wednesday understanding the gist of the game so I have more context to figure out how much information I want when I start playing on
because the
Friday.
players want their uniques, and we're going to give them. So the earlier and faster you can work with us, the more stuff we get in. Now we will be
Super Mega Goat Machine, yes, Tuesday, kicking it out.
At the start of this league, where there are some cool prizes, and we'll be talking about that this week.
Health Officer's talked to Grub. He played PoE for the first time a week ago. Man, dude, I'm telling you, Path of Exile just seems to be at the intersection of all the game communities I'm part of. Dota, RTS games, Magic.
All right, get on it, eh? Get on it, guys. All right, let's talk about some skills and support gem stuff. Alchemist Mark is one of the new revealed Mark skill, taking the Floss Charge generation off what used to be on Poachers, I believe, or I can't remember which one it was. Poachers. It also creates a ground effect based on like the biggest ignite or poison on an enemy.
Gelato
This
Squid
is very good for like ignite builds.
says Path of Exile is like the retirement home for so many pro game players I know. Dude, right?
Attacking a lot of smaller poisons.
So
is
good.
This the case, and is that just okay?
Yeah, the
God,
goal here wasn't
yeah, like-
to just say all poison builds have an extra thing.
You know,
that
one
they
of the
can stack on
things
in addition to everything else, the goal here was to enable
that I
builds to
really
exist that use
miss
single
from my
mega
childhood
builds and ignites. So we're trying to open up more space here rather than just buffing it.
is that feeling of little exciting events to look
that's
forward
true.
to.
Like, well, we saw like Flame Blast poison.
And I feel like there was this huge shift to on demand and then right back.
Alright, don't worry.
Things are starting to pull back in this way.
Listed in the patch notes.
Which is like, when I was a kid, I found it really fun
fun
to wait
that we
for
have
next
listed
week's
every
episode.
change, as far as I'm aware. So
I found it really fun to look forward to the upcoming tournament.
Wow, so all the uniques are getting spoiled.
Or, you know, there'd even just be like local fighting game
we could
tournament
stop right
weekends
now, people
at
would
my
have
arcade.
information, but
And I would
it's
just go and
keep
watch
going
Marvel
further.
vs. Capcom 2.
I'm not gonna
I mean-
stop until Bex tells me to.
Even little things like, ooh, where are we going to go eat that day? What am I going to wear? You know, like, those types of experiences and planning things can be really fun.
Shock skills seem very cool. They feel
and
like Kiwi 2 skills.
Then Netflix comes out, and I remember when House of Cards dropped,
freedom in the future.
and it was just like all episodes available, and they were constantly in all of their press and marketing and all this shit. They were like, hey, everyone wants all the episodes at once, our data shows it. And dude, the number of times I have seen a PR piece drop where someone goes, well, excuse me, the data indicated that this was the right decision to do, only to 5 to 10 years later go, you know, the data was actually not right. Like, it's hilarious and remarkable to me. So now, you know, I'm seeing things like Netflix starting to spread out their release slate for things. Some things drop all at once, but a lot of things they'll drop 3 episodes and then do 2 episodes every Thursday.
Especially with, like I said, we've got so many of these like combo
and like Magic the Gathering pre-releases every 3 months. Boom. When COVID wasn't a thing, I'd go to a nearby pre-release, and sometimes I'd be like, dude, it's pre-release weekend, or I'm doing one on Friday night, Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon, Saturday night, Sunday morning, Saturday afternoon, or Sunday afternoon. That was fucking sick.
Where they've had like a mechanic that you debuff an enemy with so that they take more damage, and the entire gameplay.
I love the fact that there's something to look forward to in an upcoming League release with Path of Exile.
Value, you don't want to put it in a 2-link with some random skill to shock enemies. You want to actually like increase that damage and put it in a 4-link, and so then you're facing the opportunity.
Again, the best statement.
Support gem or utility skill you could
Hi, Cat.
So
the best statement I've ever heard around data is from the former CEO Blizzard, Mike Morhaime.
It's not just something you put.
He said data gets a vote
because there's limited.
You have a number of decision makers.
Yeah, right now
you can view your data.
Have the option.
It's like another decision maker that gets a vote.
Big opportunity cost, like
so good.
Or reserving something is a pretty frequently used one. So I guess right now, if it's like it's hard to get enough power in a build that doesn't really make sense, it's not going to be a problem. I guess it might be something you might have to review in PoE2 when people can throw a 6-link at it, even if they're like a melee build or something where it doesn't make much sense otherwise.
Yeah, fair
all right.
I'm
avoiding
commenting.
Question about Path of Exile.
Question
about Path of Exile. Does the cat get a vote? All the cat ever does is smash her body in front of me, saying vote, 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 vote.
Every single skill.
Peltoss's data is never wrong. It's just people analyzing the data wrong.
Thank you for all the 6.
I think I'm going to go one step further, Helltoff. Data does not have a truth value. It's just data.
Easier unique availability on corrupted items is like a.
It's not that that's
steppings,
right. It's not that that's wrong.
I'm glad to see you guys.
It's just that it's not something with a truth value. It's just data.
They didn't stay around for a while.
That's it.
They're coming back. What are your thoughts on
analyzing data? Is incredibly difficult.
We believe the rate that we've reintroduced them
in all ways.
Safe because
storing, analyzing, tracking.
It's certainly
verifying.
They're not dropping all over the place, so it should be fine.
Like, you know, here's like one of my favorite examples of this, which is if you are a company that has a particular problem, you might implement a policy or a procedure or some hires to address that problem. And if that problem, your measurement goes down over time,
and the community's reaction to it,
you might think that your thing is working.
League launch last time, which is relatively rare because usually we.
But it could just be that people are more willing to cover it up.
And I got all the way to.
So, for instance, if there's late payments to vendors, is a big issue.
I was a bit.
So you implement a policy of zero tolerance towards late payment or some such thing, and then it starts to go down. Hey, our policy's working.
Went through it and said, yeah, we need to tone down some problematic stuff here, which is good because I'm glad they're the design team and not me. And so we really feel that Res in the early game felt too hard relative to Res later on. And we made a lot of changes to it in response to the feedback, and obviously that stuff.
Who funds is correlation versus causation? It's not exactly what I'm talking about. Because what I am talking about is a change in the data,
one of the revamped leagues here, despite being so recent,
or a change in a measurement might not actually be the correct visibility into the problem. So I'm more so describing a measurement issue.
Get some really good stuff going on.
Ouch!
So now people will hopefully look forward to finding
Sorry, she just dug her
monsters
claw
with
into me.
multiple arch nemesis mods so that they may get really broken conversions.
Because
aggressive
how does the
was
saying
this
go?
reduction
If
in
ever there is a
supply?
measurement, a piece of data, or a metric that gets created, there will immediately be
changes, like for example, the
a
monsters
company
and the actual just
or
areas of
an
the
enforcement
relatively
body
low,
whose
like,
job it is to
you
make
can
that
play a
number
map and
go
only
up.
encounter a few rares if you haven't juiced it, you know, with old balance values, and that's left unmodified. Of course, you could, if you're lucky, encounter more.
Shamtu says, I just tuned in and thought you were being interviewed by Chris Wilson. I am. This is Chris Wilson. Here's Chris.
There was some
Here you
leaks
go.
that gave a lot of rare.
Do you have something to say to Shamtu?
We turned some down, like, 6
Okay,
or
I
8
hope you've
times
gotten
in
all
some
that
cases.
information.
And so
It's very important that you have that
you actually have some ability
on
to
your Thursday.
Focus on what mods you're playing against, as opposed to the screen being full of yellow one for second death.
Hold
so, yeah,
on.
there has been a big reduction for some leagues, and then we've had to
All right.
compensate.
Do you have anything else?
Beyond and Harvest.
No, you're
which
just
is what
happy?
we redid, because we
Yeah,
can
you
turn
said it
down
once
rares,
and you knew it.
can't
Here,
turn
let me
down
just
rares and beyond,
suspend you.
Where the whole point is all the
Get some
monsters are
tummy
basically
scritches.
rare,
Yep.
or Harvest, where they have to be rare in order to
Hot take.
give the amount of life force they did before. We had to rework systems and balance entirely for
All
those
right.
leagues in order to be able to.
I think I'm gonna just go ahead and close out on my Path of Exile viewing
Headhunter, how does this
of this. But before I do,
once again into the dust?
before
All
I
these extra mods
start
on rare
playing,
monsters for you
are
to
there
take,
any
I mean, that's
need to
above
know
me.
things you'd recommend? And it's fine if you're on the fence,
We
just
can't
share it
balance the
anyways.
entire game around Headhunter.
My Path of
It's
Exile
still a very
question
powerful
is, I know a loot filter is something that I need. A loot filter. Yeah, and are those easy to do?
How does this change the balance between base game?
Das Mute says, Das Mute says, I deeply appreciate that you have the kind of personality where you won't just rage quit. This is stupid / too hard / badly designed if it gets frustrating. While I appreciate that, Das Mute, I would encourage you to not watch my Archer gameplay in Age of Empires 2 from last week. That was me.
If you were to fight a monster in an expedition,
I try not
how much
to.
life it has compared
I'm
to
glad
just
that
a
it's
zombie walking
received
on the beach one screen over from the base game
pleasantly.
It's a pretty big difference.
I mean,
there.
I'll be
and we
honest.
haven't
Like,
addressed that life difference here. It's quite a lot.
I get just as mad as the next guy, you know.
We do want it so that league content.
Did you ever
is
rage in Brood War?
appropriately
Oh, yeah,
rewarded
yeah.
For its difficulty.
I broke
not
keyboards and
to
shit,
the
man.
point where you just don't want to play the.
I
base
actually
game.
think that
So,
one of the
yeah, a
best
rare monster is
aspects of playing
leagues have
games
interesting ways of supplying
that are
you with rare
difficult and
monsters,
playing
often
games
at a higher rate than
competitively
normal, but hopefully not at an insane
is
rate.
that it
The rares are
allows you
difficult
to
fight based on how many mods
experience
they
and
have,
spend
each additional
time
mod
with
adds more
very
variety. To be specific
intense
about this,
emotions
rare monsters themselves
in a place that's
drop
safe.
better items than normal. Each additional
I'm sure many of you have known someone who gets really mad at work and they lose their mind and they say things they regret.
Does matter a lot more.
Or in a relationship,
Then some of
if
the mods
their
have
significant other or their spouse is saying, hey, this thing you do bothers me, and they get really upset,
both
say something they don't mean.
Conversion things. And this means we have internal calculations now where
I would say I'm not really proud of the fact that I used to be so upset. I would just and like punch my keyboard like that, and then it would snap and all that sort of stuff.
Got a lot of rarity. You're potentially having a higher chance of better currency in there internally.
I don't look at that, and I'm not like ha ha ha. Anyways, you know, or for instance, I don't look back at that and go,
down on the hardness of the fights. In fact, in some cases,
yeah, that's great. I did that. Hooray! It's who I am.
But the rewards are a lot better.
But I used to look back at that with shame.
If there's only
And
one
now I'm just like, yeah, you know,
the problem was more like
I think that is an important experience to have gone through in a place that's pretty safe. I lost a game.
Trying to bonk me.
And so some
I like
ELO
this-
went
I like
away.
What you're doing overall to try and get
So my
Archons
ego
to
was
fit
hurt.
into the game a lot better. However,
I didn't
I'm
get
still a
kicked
bit
out of my
concerned
house.
That, like many of the specific modifiers or
I didn't lose my
combinations of
job.
modifiers that are just not that
Everything's
fun
fine.
to have in the game might still be a problem.
And so
Like,
I
for
think
example,
that
restoration,
provided a really
different styles and
valuable
effects that
experience
flow in character,
of
except for Trickster.
just sitting with a certain kind of emotion and getting some
and like the constant running from like
comfort with that. And I think that if there's one word of advice I would give to any parent who's worried about their kid playing games, because I know that the natural sentiment of gamers is like, what? Games don't cause violence, games don't cause anger, games don't cause these issues. You're totally wrong. I actually think if you're a parent, it's fine to ask the question. I think it's fine to say, hey, my kid is doing anything at all. Is it safe? Are you kidding me? With these cats, I don't buy furniture unless I make sure that they're okay for cats. Is this table poisonous to cats, right? Because, you know, you care about your loved ones.
And it also means that
And so,
we went through
I think that if any parent ever says, hey, I'm worried because my son, my daughter is playing this game, and I keep hearing him get really upset, I keep hearing him yell,
and so that means that you're
and
not
they want to do it, but I'm
running
worried
those
about them.
completely frequently.
You know, I'd want that parent to know
especially with
that
the reduction of the number
games
of rare
are
monsters.
really valuable way
Chat really wants to talk about melee,
for
so I
a
guess we're going to pause the current
child
thing
to
we're talking
experience
about.
really
Here you go.
intense
Gotcha,
emotions
gotcha.
in a safe
They
place.
want to talk about melee, but I'm not really sure.
And it's a
what the
really
specific questions
helpful
are. So
way
any
for you, the parent,
generic
to be able
comments
to
on
speak to them
the
constructively.
state of melee in Path of Exile currently, and then maybe I can read.
Because I think something that is
specific questions
really
from chat,
under
like
talked
spamming
about with
melee.
games is that, dude, especially a lot of
My
competitive games
interpretation of
are
what chat's asking is
so
that they feel
hard.
like to see buffs to
Dota
those
is
skills.
so hard.
Yeah, I figured.
That game is
Which we
fucking
haven't included
impossible.
Specific reworks in this expansion.
It is like trying to do an extremely complex math problem in real time where there's people yelling at you. That's hard.
This is brought up. There are pros and cons for this, and
I think it's a really
recently had a
incredible
look
and valuable
at how
experience
they're doing melee skills in PoE 2, and you will
for kids
love
to
that.
push
As
themselves.
much of that as we can get into PoE 1.
God knows the
Try to do.
education system
But bear
doesn't.
in mind, one of the major things they have there is an entirely new animation.
Puts us in
system,
grades,
which is
though
really
the
punchy, cool stuff.
most significant thing we have in common is
The
our
future
age.
very bright for me.
Not
I
that,
will make
you know,
sure
I like
understand
math
it's not
more and you
necessarily
like
about
history
punches,
more,
it's
and we
also
are at
about
different
the ability
aptitude
to
levels at
build
that.
very
Like,
viable from a damage point of view and so on. And so I will make sure that we do bring that up with the design team. I will just do a quick dev check to see if there's any thoughts. Anything coming up? Yeah, we're aware people would like us to discuss.
so
melee.
what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to
Why
go to a
don't
break
you
screen.
get, like,
I'm going to get water,
ratings buff?
and when we come back, we're going to figure out what to do with the rest
I
of it.
found this out by reading the.
So everyone, thanks for the advice about loot filters and builds. A big spread of thoughts, and I'll have more context for it when I hop in next week.
Sure.
But for now, I'd like to give a warm shout out to Grinding Gear Games for helping sponsor this. Oh, and a currency tab. Yes, I'm going to just be buying a currency tab and buying a. I'm just going to be spending a bunch of money to get a whole bunch of the basic loot and storage and organizational things because I think Grinding Gear should get my money. Okay. Yep. I'm going to be stepping away for just a really, really brief moment. I'm going to use the restroom, and then let's figure out what we're doing. Warm thanks to Grinding Gear Games for sponsoring this stream and next Friday's stream of Path of Exile. And as I said before, we've been excited to play the game, so we're going to, in addition to those, be playing on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday next week. What the Deck is, of course, on Wednesday. What the fuck? Is, of course, on Monday. So we'll do a little bit of that. Also, I gotta use the restroom, so I'll be right back, everyone. I'll be right back.